I decluttered 800 perfumes from my fragrance collection and it feels so good. And this is why I did it. I view fragrances as little mini time capsules. They have the ability to accompany you throughout your life, and whenever you smell a specific scent, it will bring you straight back to a specific memory. That to me is the magic of fragrances. Today's society, where, especially on social media, where you see a constant push on new fragrances, you don't have time to enjoy what you already have. So my idea is to go through my fragrance collection and keep the fragrances that have a deep meaning for me, whether that is a specific memory or a way in which I want to feel when I spray a specific scent. So we're gonna tackle the belly of the beast, which is the perfume closet. This is where the majority of my fragrance collection is housed. There's 4 shelves and then a bottom area with additional fragrances. I actually don't know what's in there. Now, my idea was to do a fragrance event. I would be selling tickets. You can get maybe 2 fragrances or 3 fragrances from my fragrance collection, and then the proceeds of the ticket sales I would give to a charity of my choice. I'm thinking of donating all the proceeds of the tickets to a charity that focuses on leukemia cancer research. And this would be in memory of my uncle who passed away almost a year ago of leukemia. I will be posting an announcement on Instagram as to where and when the event will be taking place. So if you don't follow me on there, make sure you do if you're interested in getting some of the fragrances from my collection. Most likely it will happen on either the 14th or the 15th of December, which also coincides with the holiday season. So I think it will be really nice as well to connect with everyone. Let's go through the top shelf, which is where I house all of my summer fragrances. Aww. This fragrance reminds me of my honeymoon. Food for Happiness from Initio. I brought this perfume when my husband and I went to French Polynesia. My husband and I scuba dive, and it's something that we discovered, a common passion that we had together. And so I remember taking this fragrance to that island, and we saw the most incredible wildlife. I had an encounter with a bottlenose dolphin and its baby. It was so close to me I could touch it, but I didn't. It was such a special moment. But the lady behind me tried to touch the dolphin and then the dolphin pooped on her. So there you go. I haven't smelled it in a really long time. This is Still Life in Rio from Olfactive Studio. This perfume reminds me of Singapore. I grew up in Singapore and have so many great memories tied back to Asia. And I remember going back more recently and taking this fragrance, really enjoying wearing it in a more humid environment because it's so hot and sticky and was perfect for that tropical climate. Now, whenever I smell it, it reminds me of Singapore. Another mistake purchase. Q from Dolce & Gabbana. I think it is a great perfume, really, truly. However, I don't wear it. We're starting to get somewhere. There's still quite a few fragrances from the top shelf that's left, but we're making progress. And who knew that it would be so cathartic to get this clearance done? Okay, so this is my pile of maybes. I'm gonna smell them and see if it makes sense to still keep them. There's quite a few coconut, floral, amber fragrances. There's 2 Bronze Goddess. I think this was the first fragrance I ever reviewed on my blog. I even created a coconut panna cotta dessert inspired by this fragrance, and the recipe is still up on my blog. Je sais pas. Nuda Veritas Extrait and Nuda Veritas, the original from Etude des Ors. Oh, these bottles are so stunning. There's not that much of a difference, to be fair, between the 2 fragrances. Elegant, fresh jasmine, which I would recommend getting, but I prefer to have the Impression Jasmine Absolute from Austin's in my collection. There's a balmy feel to it as well, and since I'm keeping this, it doesn't really make sense to have these 2 fragrances, so I will be parting ways with these. Oolong Cha from Nishane. This is a great, fresh, musky tea perfume, but I already have so many fresh tea fragrances that I don't know if I should keep it. Oh, this smells really good. Although it's really, really, really nice, there's some tea fragrances that I prefer. This is what the clearance pile is looking like so far. I am so pleased with this summer fragrance edit. I can actually see what I have, and it boils down to a really curated selection of fragrances that mostly I wear a lot and that I have fond memories with. I am ready to go and tackle shelf number 2, which is all of my everyday, easygoing type of fragrances. The disaster of this shelf, there's not enough space. I've had to start stacking the fragrances and hiding them in the back over there. This is another perfume that is very special to me. It is Musk Memento Cologne from Jo Malone. It was part of the limited edition collection from this year. I took it with me to the Scottish Highlands. My husband and some friends of ours, we did a road trip around the Scottish Highlands. Whenever I smell it, it reminds me of that. And those wonderful moments that we spent together, the cold, crisp outdoor air, the incredible scenery, that is all captured in this fragrance. And it just makes it so, so special, so I'm keeping it. I can't be the only one who chooses a fragrance based on the activity that they're going to do. In my previous video, actually, I mentioned a fragrance that I like to wear before going to Reformer Pilates. This is the perfume. It's Matin de Jade from Infiniment Coty Paris, a ginger tea fragrance that is energizing and calming at the same time, and it just puts me in that mood for getting ready and doing my Pilates session. Now, this has been getting a lot of hype on social media. Guidance 46 from Amouage. It's not a fragrance that I fell in love with. I enjoy the original, which I also have in my collection, but 46 for me wasn't a love at first sniff. I do find them to be quite similar as well. It's not enough for me to want to keep this fragrance, so it's going into the clearance. Ah oui. Ah oui. I bought De Yulong right before I went on a spa holiday. I remember thinking to myself, I want to buy a new fragrance to capture the calming and relaxing essence of this holiday, so that if I do feel stressed out, I can go back to this perfume, spray it on me so that it calms me down. I feel like this is gonna be more of a challenge than the summer. I gotta be ruthless. Come on, girl. You do your thing. All right. Ooh, 2 sandalwoods. As much as I love the Delina line, I have never been a fan of the Exclusif. I never reach out for it. It's just too sweet for me. I much prefer the La Rosée and at times the original Delina, but this one is just too sweet for me, so I'm gonna part ways with it. I'm super excited that the pile for the clearance is growing and my collection is shrinking. Oh, it just feels so good, you know? This is what I cleared out from my everyday signature worthy fragrances shelf. The everyday fragrance edit is now done. I'm really pleased with this one as well. It holds some of my most cherished fragrances. I have 2 of my wedding scents. So 1957 from Chanel. I wore this at the civil wedding, so more of a formal event. And then the party fun event, both were fun, but the one where I wore the white dress and I had truly the fairy tale wedding that I've always wanted is when I wore Apollonia. I don't wear these fragrances every day. Apollonia I wear once a year during my wedding anniversary. So this year my husband and I celebrated 3 years of marriage and I wore Apollonia during the day. So it just reminds me of our wedding and that magical special moment that we shared together. Another very meaningful fragrance that I wore a lot towards the end of last year, Per Se. Now this fragrance is sort of bittersweet to me because I was drawn to this fragrance when I found out that my uncle and godfather was in a coma in the hospital, and for some inexplicable reason I was drawn to this perfume. It was the comfort that I wanted to feel when I was in London and the rest of my family was in Switzerland. So it's sort of my comfort scent. It's bittersweet, it's sad, but then comforting. And at the same time, it doesn't conjure bad memories. It just conjures memories of, well, sadness, yes, but comfort and love as well. As you can see, this is one big mess of a shelf. Alrighty dighty, there is a lot of the vanillic gourmand fragrances on this shelf, which I love. So I think this one is going to be particularly difficult. Oh, Love Delight from Amouage. Though it's not a bad fragrance, it smells delicious, it's not a perfume for me, easily go into the clearance pile. This, however, I will guard with my life. This is, encore une fois, my absolute favorite vanilla perfume. I wear this all the time. I wear it during the day, I wear it in the evening. I sometimes layer it with Santal à la Vida, also from Infiniment Coty. This to me, in French you would say it's my doudou, ma vanille doudou. It's like a comforting vanilla. If I could summarize a rave and festival in a fragrance, it would be in this one. For some reason, whenever I go, not that I go to raves that frequently anymore, but I used to go to a lot of raves back in university and all that stuff. I love electro music. I wear this fragrance if I'm going to a rave. It is strong, it's projecting, there's something sexy and something electrifying about it. Oh, this is so good. I feel like I need to keep it. Or maybe I'm not in my rave era anymore. I haven't been in my rave era for a long time, let's be honest here. This is definitely staying. Hibiscus Mahajad from Maison Crivelli. It captures a very specific, intimate moment with my husband. My husband and I have been together for 13 years. When I wear this perfume, it captures a moment where the spark is always alive. I think that's the best way that I can explain it. I feel bad parting ways with Baccarat Rouge. I feel like it's such an iconic fragrance, but I just don't wear it. And in my mind, I was like, well, if I keep it, it's an icon. It's kind of like a piece of history in my fragrance collection. But then again, I don't know. I feel like it's just another way to justify keeping perfumes that you don't need. So this is going. What's interesting with this exercise is some brands that I was really drawn to a few years ago and I bought a lot of the fragrances, I no longer find myself reaching out for these scents. And it's, I think, normal as an individual. We're humans, we evolve and our tastes change over time. And one of these brands right now for me is Initio. I have so many fragrances from Initio that I bought over the years that I loved. I loved the fact that they were super strong, impactful, and sexy fragrances. But right now, I don't know, I don't reach out for them that much. Parting ways with Side Effect and Psychedelic Love. Both of these perfumes are stunning, but no longer fit within my lifestyle today. Again, so many fragrances to clear out. It's funny because looking at the fragrance collection now, it looks much more airy and less cluttered. However, there's still a lot of fragrances. So I wonder whether I should declutter more. I'll sleep on it. But in the meantime, I finished the third shelf. It's looking good to me. We have a bunch of seductive amber floral fragrances. I've kept some classics that I've loved for years. For example, Rouge Malachite from Armani. I also kept in La Libella from Memo. A few vanilla fragrances. I love vanilla and I feel like the selection is quite varied. Good morning. It is day 2 of clearing out my fragrance collection. And after sleeping on it, I still feel that I can reduce the amount of fragrances on the shelves that we cleared out yesterday. So that is what I'm gonna do right now. I am gonna get rid of Lust for Sun and Vanilla Vibes from Juliet Has a Gun. I love Vanilla Vibes and I love layering it with Hibiscus Palm. However, I think it's time for me to part with it. As for Lust for Sun, it is a great, really great fresh floral, but I have a lot of fresh florals already, and so I don't need an additional one. Even though some of these fragrances hold special memories, like the Dior Amour I bought after shooting a global campaign with Dior. It was sort of a gift to myself, like a congratulations gift. I liked it, but I bought it on a whim. So I don't actually reach out for this. This is gonna have to go. And then I also have l'Iris from Santa Maria Novella. I don't know what happened with this one. I think that it was exposed to too much heat. I wore this at a summer that was super hot when I was traveling to Tuscany with my husband. And I wonder if it got a little bit of heat damage. It doesn't smell the way that I remembered it smelling on me. Really trying to curate this collection as much as I can. And I'm seeing that I have some similar fragrances and styles already on this shelf. For example, Pure Musc and Elixir de Musc are both stunning powdery floral musks. Elixir de Musc has more of a vintage boudoir style, whereas Pure Musc is really your clean, squeaky clean feeling after taking a shower. I feel like I should keep only one. I think I'm gonna keep Pure Musc from Narciso Rodriguez and give away this one. And then I remembered that 312 Saint-Honoré from BDK is very similar to L'Eau Papier from Diptyque, which I love, and you can see how much I've used of this fragrance. It's one of my bedtime scents as well, and it's a fragrance that I wore non-stop when I traveled to Japan with my husband. Now, when I wear this perfume, it reminds me of Tokyo specifically. So there's a special memory attached to it, whereas 312 Saint-Honoré I received after I had this fragrance. I haven't built any specific memory associated with this perfume. It's a beautiful fragrance. They are very similar, though 312 Saint-Honoré is more floral, but it's redundant to have both in a collection. So I love orange blossom fragrances, and I've noticed that there's two now that I've kept which are very similar, and it again would be redundant to have both in a collection. Soleil d'Icocim and Solar Blossom. It's a similar case to before, where I've had Solar Blossom in my collection before Soleil d'Icocim, and Solar Blossom, hands down, is my favorite sweeter, more solar orange blossom in my collection, which is why I absolutely need to keep it. I've worn it quite a bit already. It doesn't look like much, but when you had a collection that had over 600 perfumes, that is a little bit of a dent. And Soleil d'Icocim is woodier. There's some vetiver added to it, and I feel like there's more of an elegance in Soleil d'Icocim versus Solar Blossom. I mean, both are really elegant, but maybe a little bit more here. And perhaps this is more unisex than Solar Blossom. It's not as sweet, but I really don't need both in my collection. If one day when I finish this fragrance, who knows, maybe I'll purchase this perfume, but for now it doesn't make sense for me to keep both. Let's move on to the third shelf. After a long and hard debate, I'm gonna get rid of material from Amouage, which blew a hole in my wallet a few years ago when I purchased it with my own money. But I don't wear it as much, and it's beautiful. And Babylon from Penhaligon's. This is another vanilla fragrance, but there's one that I prefer from Penhaligon's, part of the Portraits collection, which is on display, that I'm intending to keep, so I don't need this. There's another case of two fragrances that are extremely similar, or in the similar territory. Red from Soradora and Rima 11. Red from Soradora is similar to this, but more powerful, more impactful. And at the moment, I'm enjoying more of the sweetness and how much this projects compared to this one. So I will be keeping this. This section is such a mess. Oh, I really do love this. This is Santalum from Chloé Atelier des Fleurs, a creamy sandalwood, but it's powdery. That doesn't go into the vanillic gourmand territory. It stays clean and fresh. I've been reaching out for this quite a bit lately because I wanted to feel cocooned, comforted, and pampered. That is when I like to wear this. I mean, this I'm keeping for sure. Ombre Nuit. This is my favorite private collection from Dior. And you know what? I am thinking of spraying my Christmas gift wrapper with this so that when people receive their gifts, they get a bit of a scented surprise as well. You know what? I received these two fragrances for Christmas and my birthday, I think. At the beginning of my YouTube journey when they were super hyped up, remembering thinking, I need to have these fragrances in my collection because everyone is talking about them. I did like the fragrances, don't get me wrong, they do smell great and I recommended them a lot, but I don't wear them that much. That is just a prime example of why you should really take your time with fragrances to test them out and not necessarily take a YouTube video at face value, because someone may love the fragrance and you may think you also love it so much because that person is loving it. My point being is, as a consumer, when I'm buying fragrances with my own money, I take a lot of time, especially when it comes to niche fragrances, to make a decision. It can take weeks or months. I need to make sure that I properly sample the fragrances. An example of this is actually in the travel sprays that I have. So I've had the travel spray of Ex Nihilo Brompton Immortals for over a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 now. This fragrance is extremely expensive. I cannot justify buying it until I am done with this sample and that it makes sense to have it in my collection. I've talked so much about this fragrance on YouTube, and I have not worn it in a long time. This is an example of how tastes change over time. I'm gonna go a little bit deep here, but after having this burnout and kind of reevaluating the way that I want to live my life, I've done, and I'm still doing, a lot of internal work. Fragrances feel like they're a reflection of at least my personality. I don't feel like Oud for Greatness aligns with who I am today anymore. A great fragrance, don't get me wrong, but I can no longer relate to wearing this perfume today. This is a prime example of a fragrance that I got super excited smelling in store. It was new, it was shiny, and I thought about it maybe for 1 or 2 days, and then I bought it. I enjoyed it for the first month or 2, but then I didn't reach out for it again. I got excited about it. There's something in the fragrance that I loved, but then I didn't connect with it in a way that I thought I would. My point is, it's easy to get caught up in all of the excitement when you're in stores, you're perhaps in a buying mood, and then all of a sudden you need to get a lot of new things. I want to be more intentional when I buy something new so that I know that I will not only enjoy it in the moment, but enjoy it for a prolonged period of time. Oh, my beloved Santal Basmati. You know what? I rediscovered it recently. It was hidden amongst all of this. It made me super happy to wear it again. I still love it as much as I did. To me, this is still the most chic and elegant sandalwood fragrance ever to be made, and I've tried a lot of sandalwood fragrances. This is what I love about this exercise, is that it feels like a trip of memory lane and kind of reminiscing on the good times, sometimes sad times through scent. It's really lovely. It feels like a olfactive journal. If you're like me and you're thinking of doing some clear out of your perfume collection, I highly recommend you do, because not only enjoyable because you have more space and things feel more streamlined, but it's also a lovely way to reminisce and cherish memories that perhaps have been forgotten. This is literally a sea of fragrances. Okay, this shelf is done. Look at that. Amazing, right? So there's a common theme here. We have quite a lot of sandalwood fragrances. I think sandalwood is my favorite wood. I especially enjoy wearing sandalwood notes during the colder months. There's something that is really cozy about it. So I have Santalum from Atelier des Fleurs. There is Santal Basmati over here. Santal à la Vida from Infiniment Coty, which is a spicy sandalwood that I like to layer with Encore une fois, the vanilla. And I usually wear this if I'm going out and I want to make more of a statement. I'll layer the two together. There's also Wood Whisper from Ojar, which is a milky, creamy sandalwood, kind of like those cozy sandalwoods that you want to wear on a really cold day. And then we have some spices with Spice Bomb. Bon, Gris Charnel is also spice, and a few ambers as well. What I like is that there is quite a variety in terms of scent profiles, but also in terms of what I'm looking for. So there's fragrances that are a little bit more cozy, some that pack a little bit more of a punch if I want to make more of a statement, and some that have a bit of a twinkle, a magic, a sophistication to it. And I know I do reach out for during the festive season, where I want to have that twinkle, that magic that surrounds me, but through scent. The collection feels more succinct, more me as well. The next step is to add all of these fragrances into an Excel spreadsheet so I know how many perfumes there are, and then I can easily tick them off during the event. All of these fragrances behind me are going to the perfume charity event that I'll be holding on the 15th of December. There are 625 fragrances. And then we have over 100 fragrances going to a women's shelter. So I have 3 bags. This is bag number 1. Then we have bag number 2 and bag number 3. This actually is going to be my little niece's Christmas gift. We have a bunch of fragrances for her in there. And the rest I'm giving away to some friends and family. So in total, I've given away 85% of my fragrance collection. I feel so fortunate and really grateful to have this big of a fragrance collection. Many of the fragrances I bought, but the vast majority were gifted in PR. As a content creator, it's been immensely helpful to have material for content, but on a more educational standpoint, it's helped me venture in new olfactive territories, which otherwise I perhaps wouldn't have ventured into, and it's helped as a result to expand my perfume knowledge and also discover new fragrances that I now cherish and love as well. So I have a few takeaways from this exercise. The fragrances that I'm parting with smell really good. Many of them are unique. You guys know that I have a majority of niche fragrances in my collection. However, they no longer align with the person that I am today and my style. I feel like fragrances are representations of different facets of one's personality. And so the fragrances that I've parted ways with no longer fit with who I am today. Maybe in the future they'll fit again, but today they no longer have a place in my fragrance collection. Due to all of the clutter in my collection, I tended to forget what fragrances I had, and so I accumulated quite a few duplicates. For instance, I have 3 Burberry Goddess fragrances and 2 Bohemian Lime unopened, fresh. So these will be going for the perfume event. And it's my fault for accepting PR without even checking my fragrance collection beforehand. Another key takeaway is that due to the volume of new fragrance launches every year, there are bound to be fragrances that smell similar to one another. And I had countless of examples, some orange blossoms, some white florals, some coconut scents that I decided to part ways with because it didn't make sense to keep in my fragrance collections since they were so similar. So I made sure to only keep the ones that either have a core memory attached to it. An example is L'Eau Papier from Diptyque, and I parted ways with 312 Saint-Honoré from BDK, or that make me feel extra good. On a deeper, more meaningful level, this declutter enabled me to relive some core memories throughout my life and made me feel really grateful for the life that I've lived so far. It might sound cheesy, but truly this was almost like an exercise of gratitude. And I think it's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day life and the stresses and the problems and this and that. And this exercise put a lot of this into perspective. So I am looking forward to enjoying this new curated fragrance collection and continue to connect with scent in a deep and meaningful way.